Hello, everybody, and welcome to TableTakes. Today is August 14th. It's August 14th. Yeah, that means that we're almost through summer. Oh my goodness.
Gosh,
Time is
just yesterday. It was March.
Yeah.
I don't know. As you know,
the 247th day of March.
247th day of March, of course. Yes.
Well, I mean, just yesterday it was cold enough that I had to wear a hoodie, and this weekend we're looking at 94 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Seattleites.
Can I just vote no on that? We just veto that.
It's okay. Halloween is just around the corner, and that's the most important. Anyways.
Can't wait. Yeah, the most important, where we all can't go to each other's houses and get candy.
Oh, but yeah, that's true. I mean, I was thinking air cannon, candy, but apparently that's debatable.
Slingshot,
or catapult.
I think that's more of a 4th of July treat.
Bonsai, just like pegging, just like shooting the candy, and the kids have to go chase it down in the bags.
I mean, I would have been fun as a kid for me if I was like, "What? Cool! You're gonna shoot it? Yeah." But besides that,
rocket-propelled Werther's original flying through the air at high speed.
Rocket-propelled gummy RPG.
Yeah. Oh, bravo! Bravo, my good man.
Yay!
Yes. Oh well. Speaking of which, rocket-propelled. You were doing some stuff with rockets this weekend. Digital rockets, right, Derek?
Yeah, you're looking at me. No Man's Sky. I got my wife. Like, who else was doing rockets this weekend? I got my wife addicted to No Man's Sky, which has gotten a lot of updates. It's got a lot of new stuff added to it. It still has a lot of very rough edges, but it does have the ability to have a farm, feed animals, domesticate animals, and ride them. So it literally has the one thing that will guarantee that my wife plays the game. No matter how much she curses about the other aspects of it and is mad because she can't make her base look exactly the way she wants it to.
Yeah, I love the way people talk about this game nowadays. Anyone who's trying to get you into this game is like, no, really, it's not as bad as you think it is. As bad as it was, it's still pretty bad, but it's better.
Not as bad as it was.
I mean, honestly, it was never as bad as people were making it out to be, because they were just really mad that it wasn't like the second coming of video games or something.
That it was going to be.
Yeah. So like,
you made too many promises.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's still got plenty of frustrating parts to it. But you're still having like this fun. I think it's one of the only video games where I've really actually enjoyed exploring in a lot of cases. And I think the way the language works, where you just kind of slowly learn words and you slowly decipher the dialogue with different NPCs. There's something about that really appeals to me, even though that's totally not how languages actually work. It's still just kind of fun to
they do
get that over time.
Watch the 13th Warrior. I know what's up.
The movie is great.
That's how Antonio Banderas did at that time that he was from Iraq.
Yeah. And also, Emma, you've been playing some online digital games as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. I got to play For the King with my friend Javion, who's been on the show before. It's fun. It's basically feels like a digital role-playing board game. You have the hex grids, you're moving around exploring. It's turn-based, so you're not exploring at the same time, but you're going back and forth with the other people playing the game. You get items, give you abilities, do combats, trying to go on quests and things. So it's fun. It's cute. Art style is really cool, and it's pretty straightforward. So it's a lot of these role-playing games, it's like Divinity Original Sin, right? It feels like a simpler version of that. Like, what have I got myself into? There's all this stuff. This really cuts to the core of it, which I appreciate. It's pretty fast to get ramped up with. I also played a board game this week. It's been a little while since I've done an actual physical in-person board game. Phil and I played Cat Rescue by a designer called Tatawu, and who makes lots of cat games, and his game is absolutely adorable. It's a cooperative game where you have a actual fabric grid of squares, and you're pushing the cats around and trying to get them into forever homes. It was adorable, and I really enjoyed it. And of course, you rescue all the cats, because the cats who are there at the end of the game.
So you're
the
not
next
playing
day.
cats.
What's that?
You're not playing cats though.
No, you're humans.
Because if
who
you
are...
were, it wouldn't be collaborative, I imagine.
Right. But one of my concerns was, well, what is going to happen if we don't rescue every single cat? But I solved that for myself mentally by just saying, like, well, we're just in the universe of cat rescue. We're just coming back tomorrow and then taking care of the rest of the cats. So getting into an okay mental space of that is important. Unfortunately,
now I want to play the grimdark version of that with you.
Oh God,
no!
Okay, cats or zombies.
Unfortunately, my own personal cat is at the vet getting his teeth cleaned today. So some happy, some sad. But he should be fine, but he is very unhappy that this is happening to him.
I bet. Cats aren't really happy about a whole lot of things that aren't exactly what they want at that time.
Yeah. Just kind of par for the course.
But unlike other animals, they'll pee on your stuff about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Christian? You have a very fancy ascot on.
Quite a fancy ascot. This is my Corona mask. It's got little ear loops on it, and it just
okay.
Bandana. It's got a little extra layer of stuff to make it masky. No, I've been working on because we're in the final season of Masters of the Metaverse, the show I do on Mondays, and we're doing a show after that, and I'm converting all of these rules over to a different rule system. So like the rule system that we hacked together 2.5, 3 years ago is now being completely overhauled.
Oh,
it sounds like the usual kind of tinkering that RPG fans get into. So we played this game, and then we wrote a whole book of house rules for it, and now we're house ruling the house rules, and it's going through revisions.
But everything was based on that DX before, and paring down that skill system, and now we're switching everything over to a different system that I have touted in the past and like very much.
Really, a different system you've touted in the past and liked very much?
Yeah,
I wonder what system
you'll find
it
the
is.
results to be quite savage.
I was about to ask, is it a world of savagery?
Yeah,
a whole world.
So yeah, that's taking up a lot of my time right now. Just looking into how to get that done the right way and make it fair and balanced and still completely gonzo.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, for me, exciting news. I participated in my first gaming tournament. I was a trash dove, also known as a pigeon, and it was for Fall Guys, and our team won.
Yay, congratulations.
Yay, thank you. So that's my one exciting thing. I'm now esport tournament person.
Esports.
You're an e-athlete.
An athlete.
Athlete.
You're going to retire while you're number one?
Yeah.
Undefeated. Step away.
Yep.
Well, they did say... They said if we wanted to rematch, we could, and I was like, yeah, I totally, because then they gave me a lot of in-game tokens so I can buy more skins. Nice. So of course I'm gonna get. I want the skins.
That's how they get you, Bonsai.
They just get you
play more
skins.
Tournaments so you can win more skins. So you'll play more tournaments so you can win more tournaments so you can get more skins.
All the skins. The hard skins hurt.
Yeah,
I might start playing that.
It's hard. The skins are so compelling, though. We were talking before the show. I'm so bad at this game. It's so frustrating because I just want one like lightning bolts, fuzzy pink skin or something. I just want the thing. I'm just so basic right now, and
that's why I stopped playing Overwatch. It was the same problem. I really just wanted the cute outfits for everybody.
Yeah.
Can
you imagine
shooting other people? I really like that outfit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine in Overwatch if they just gave you the ability to like play with the characters like they were action figures? Like you just have a tabletop simulator mode where you could just play around and set up little dioramas.
I would be so much happier with that game if that's what it was.
Yeah. That would be fun. I would totally be down, be like, I can change the skins and then we can role play that way.
Essentially, what I want is The Sims with a lot more action.
Ooh, you can get a lot of hacks for that. I feel like there's a lot.
Yeah, not on console.
Oh no. But yes. On some related news here to Gen Con, we got some unfortunate news, but this is going to be the last episode of TableTakes with Christian. with us today.
What?
Yes, I'm sorry.
We wanted to surprise you.
Surprise! No.
Oh. Yes, this is my last episode for the foreseeable future. I've been doing this since the beginning with you guys. This is wow. And here we are. I'm going my own separate way, off into the sunset.
I see you riding a horse. I can picture it, the sun on the horizon and the horse, especially with the ascot and just
I have the cowboy hat too.
The hat, yeah.
I've got the whole rig. I really like cowboy.
Oh, you should have just done that. Get your hat right now and then all right, see you later.
I didn't want to do anything too dramatic. People just expect that of the actor, and I didn't want to be that guy. But yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys a bunch. It's been a lot of fun. I like reading the news with you. But I'll still watch and see where you guys go. And I'm sure we'll have you program any of my shows against you.
You're not running away that easily. We're gonna pull you back for a lot of other things. So don't.
Whatever you need me for, I'm always ready to help Gen Con, and especially you guys, because all of you.
Yeah. We have some news that you're going to share with us later today, that later this episode, that I suspect will result in a thing that might give us an excuse to have you back at some point. So
the possibility.
But yes, all right. Well, thank you for
enough of the sad stuff. Let's talk about the news. What do we got?
Yeah, we got news. We got news. First up, Derek. You guys know that there was this big convention that happened last week. What was it? Oh yeah, Gen Con. So if you guys want, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, so Gen Con Online, happened just a short, indeterminate period of time ago.
No way to know.
Again, months ago / yesterday, somewhere like that. So we had a Discord server that we set up for that, and we have a survey out now that we would love people to fill out to give us some ideas on what kind of community and what kind of content and presence you would all like to see us have and help us build, both on the Discord and on Twitch. It's got a lot of questions about, what would you like to do on a Twitch? What do you want to do with the Gen Con community? What would you like to see on Gen Con's Twitch stream? How often do you want to play games on Discord and stuff like that? So whether or not you participated in Gen Con Online specifically, we would love to hear what kind of presence what you would like to see Gen Con do with that Discord that we've started, and how you would like to see Twitch kind of integrate and engage with that. It's very much a question of what kind of community is everyone interested in kind of building and participating in outside of just the convention itself, basically. So the more people that we have that kind of chime in and give us ideas on what they'd like to see, what they'd like to do, the better. So we have the link in chat now. I think we also tweeted it out, or might be going on a newsletter or something like that. But share it with your friends. Post your thoughts in there. Reach out to us if you have anything else that you think we should include. I'm real excited to see what we can do in the future, because Gen Con Online itself was such a success. It was really heartwarming and gratifying to see how much of the community kind of really embraced the idea, considering everything that the whole world is going through right now. It was real nice to step online and play games for 4 days.
Mm-hmm. And it was great to see all the various different players from everywhere, especially Brazil.
Yep, a lot of people in Brazil.
I'm very excited about this. I think, as this is probably going to be going on for a while, building up digital communities and spaces where you can kind of spend time and get used to other people there. That's really what I've found from the Discord I run for the Seattle Tabletop game designers. We do weekly playtesting, and the fact the same people are there and you kind of get to talk to them. You get to be friends with people and recognize their voices. Sometimes you use cameras and you get to see each other. So just having this ongoing thing, I think it's just going to make the Gen Con community stronger and more connected, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, me too. So share your thoughts. Let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, please let us know, because it helps because it improves both what we do and what you get to experience. So win-win. On a sadder note that we're going to go ahead and go with, Funko and has, because of the pandemic going on right now, has cut their workforce in light of the low sales. So Funko itself has reduced 25% of its workforce right now. Q2 sales were down worldwide by 49%, US sales 36%, and international sales, mostly in Europe, was down 71%. That with that incline, this is of course due to all the retail stores being closed. And at least for me, I feel like it's kind of sad because they just opened a new project with their board game. And so a lot of these new hires that they had, unfortunately, had to be released. Another big, so Funko still projects improvement, still 25%, still improvement, but I think they're cutting back right now in light of dealing with what is happening in terms of retail stores, in terms of movies and everything not coming out. That's like the bigger note. Without movies or big blockbusters for people to latch on and to love, to get these, like to have them get these Funko Pops for. Yes, it just Funko does rely on those, at least for me.
I think there's it's interesting to note, because I think a lot of us who are really invested in the hobby, see the ubiquitous kind of presence of Funko everywhere. And, we may be used to being like, hey, I heard about this particular Funko I want, I need to go get it. And we might search online or something like that. But this decline in sales, I think, really shows how much of Funko's business was tied up in conventions, which are basically just not happening, as well as retail, in the sense that, I suspect a lot of Funko sales are just from people going to a store to buy something and then seeing a character that they love that they didn't even know there was a Funko of, because there's an infinite number of Funkos, and just grabbing that kind of as an impulse buy. And without without those two channels, clearly that was a huge portion of their business.
I still want MASH and Night Court.
Yeah.
I'm easy. Give me MASH and Night Court.
Yeah, it's interesting. The whole machine, right, is kind of breaking down, and to some extent, it's very sad people are losing their jobs. But just how driven and hype it is. It's like, oh, I gotta see the huge blockbuster. There's a movie, and there's all this merch for it. It's like I gotta get, buy. It is kind of this very insatiable driving force, and it, even without something big like this happening to disrupt it, it's like, how long can you sustain that? Making the movies, and it has to be bigger and bigger, and always like better and better, and so I
think even Funko was acknowledging that. Like, I don't think that Funko clearly has seen what happened to Beanie Babies, what happened to a number of other incredibly
Barbie,
red hot collectibles that have their time in the sun. And I think Funko Pops have lasted a lot longer than others, so they've done a pretty good job. But I think that's probably part of why they branched out into board games, and they were attempting other kind of projects to give some diversity, so that they had an established brand in other areas for whenever anything happens to the Funko Pop sales themselves.
They just got to do movies like Trolls.
It's Trolls.
Just like Trolls.
I love the Trolls movies. Don't you?
I am not surprised.
Too. I like the World Tour movie that came out. I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and rent this for like $7.
For it, it's so catchy.
I have a very, very low tolerance for shiny, happy movies that are about like affirmation and being happy.
Oh my gosh, like the Lego movie too. Lego did it too with the movies. All those movies are so great and happy. So catchy, such a catchy song.
But what is your bar for how happy a movie can be? Like, where do you draw the line, Derek?
See, the Lego movie works because it had the theme of control and gluing your thing together. Like, that was the good part. The happy part, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
The dark underbelly.
It's pretty dark. Fair.
See?
I think so. The Lego movie is as cheery as you get, whereas I was expecting like Peanut Butter Falcon. So that's a lot cheerier than I was thinking.
Oh man. Oh, but yes. So we'll just have to see what happens to Funko as time progresses. Christian, you have some games that we can get.
This news is actually surprisingly related in a lot of ways, because what I have is the top sellers for the second quarter. Here in the So our second quarter earnings being down in the last story shows itself really all the way across the board. People are going back to old standards. Which is not a trend that we like to see, because we want to see more new games and more indie games on these lists. But what it is they've breaking down the best sellers in any given category, and they're basically the ones that you expect to see. You know, your RPGs, you got Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. They have a kind of a catch-all 5e compatible category for the first time that we've seen. Which is, I mean, I guess is good in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of those 5e compatible standalone systems out there. A lot of people that are doing Kickstarters with RPGs in mind do something that's 5e compatible.
Especially for like adventure campaigns and settings and stuff like that.
Right.
It's giving me flashbacks to the D20 era, though.
Faster if you don't have to sell a new system, and a lot of people are catching on to that, just like the D20 craze of the early 2000s. Also on the list, Starfinder, which is, it's not a fantasy game, so it deserves a little bit of love on that list. But it has fallen way down from when we had quarter 2 sales last year, where it was number 2. So
yeah, but I think the Pathfinder on this list didn't differentiate between first and second edition. So the time that Starfinder was really high, I believe, was after the announcement of second edition, but before second edition had come out. Right, so there was a little bit of
first edition stuff leaving the warehouse anymore. I mean, we have to assume that most of this is going to have to be second edition. Right?
Possibly. I mean, I think there's still a lot of first edition stuff out there, though.
Right. So that would have gone out in a quarter and been counted against that, right?
It's unclear, because we don't know whether this is shipped to stores or sold from stores. Because ICV2 kind of builds this. They use sales numbers in it, but a lot of this is built from interviews and discussions with both distributors and retailers.
Magic and Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking with the 5th edition compatible books, maybe we'll start seeing people break away from the more traditional RPGs. That's my
I can hope. I mean, the further we get away from Forgotten Realms, the happier I'll be. That's for sure.
I think that goes for a lot of people who are longtime gamers too. I mean, that's not that is a bad setting. It's just we've seen it. We've seen it regular. We've seen it post-apocalyptic. We've seen it 1,000 years in the past. We've seen it fight between the gods. I'm done with Forgotten Realms. I'm done with it. We're all done.
But D&D keeps pulling so many people into the hobby who are not done with it, that D&D Wizards is steering the ship right through the Forgotten Realms waters and is doing great numbers with it. I just want more people to do weird things on the fringes.
My worlds. I just find it to be, a little bit generic, and only not because it's a generic world, but because I've been so exposed to it over the last 30 years that, that's what I expect when I see D&D now. So it is nice to see other ones. Another interesting addition to the RPG category is Cyberpunk, because it's not for sale yet.
Well, the starter boxes, but there's no core book. So seeing just the starter box chart here suggests huge demand for Cyberpunk.
I can't think of why. Oh wait, huge AAA game coming out next month. That might have something to do with it.
Didn't it get pushed back again?
November. You're right, November.
November, it's getting.
I thought it got pushed back from that too.
It's been pushed back at least twice, at the very least.
Yeah, at least
I
think thrice actually, but
yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it was supposed to be out in April. Obviously, it wasn't. They want it to be good, and it's going to be good.
Yep.
And I think that's probably what's drawing all of the interest. I mean, people are asking about it, and since so many of these ICV2 sales figures come from basically interviews, what's popular, I think that's a lot of our answer right there. And then we move on to board games, dice games, card games, and you see most of the stuff you expect to see. You know, in your card and dice games, you see things like Code Names and Marvel Legendary, Exploding Kittens, things like that. And in your board games, we're seeing, you know, a lot of Pandemic and Ticket to Ride, Catan.
So Pandemic, you say?
Yeah, imagine that. People aren't afraid to play it anymore like they were in April.
Yeah.
Well, the board game gives them some kind of hope now.
Pandemic because we were afraid we were going to get people sick in other parts of the world. Now we're just like, boy, I really hope the virus moves there instead of here.
Yep. I mean,
the ones that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say for this one, I feel like because board games, especially these types of board games, have become more acceptable in even grocery stores. They had a display case for Pandemic. When this was happening, and I was like, okay, they're like, hey, for you who are staying home with the family, there's the games. I was like, wow, that was probably not marked that well, but okay.
I want to find the display case.
Nobody on the cover of the box was wearing a mask.
I want to find the display for Pandemic that just says, do you want to feel like you actually have some control over the situation? Then play this fantasy. That would be great. But I'm one of those people who looks for brutal truth in advertising.
You have control, and now everyone's dead.
Yeah, for the card, dice, board game categories, the ones that kind of stuck out to me, other than a couple of the modern classics like Root and Everdell still being strong in that list, is seeing Marvel Champions and Dungeon Mayhem. Those are, I think, some of the newer games that came out. Marvel Champions, if I recall, was launched at Gen Con last year or shortly thereafter. So for it to kind of rise up this quickly, definitely shows that people were excited for it, picked it up, and have kept playing it, because otherwise it only would have charted, say, back in the fall or something like that. And then Dungeon Mayhem is another one of those small games that Wizards just kind of makes appear every now and then, and it's like, we heard you like a game, what about this one? And we never really know how to react to that, but Dungeon Mayhem was cute, and everybody actually seems to really, really like it. So
hard to argue with things that people like.
It's true.
Unless they're Munchkin.
As someone who's worked in, mentioning Munchkin, as someone who's worked in retail, some of these, it just seems a little all over the place. I really wish we had more of an insight into exactly where this data comes from, because it feels almost like they're cherry picking, or, when I was working at Mox and looking at this list last year and say, like, those aren't the games I'm really seeing. Like, what about these games that are not on there as well? So
it doesn't just feel like that, Emma. It looks like that.
Yeah. I mean, everything from...
Like, you look at this list, you're like, wait, really?
Yeah. Well, Quacks of Quedlinburg, I loved it. I would spread it to many people. Even it's on that hobby, on that mass market plus area. Even people who are not super into games or don't super understand more complex games have really enjoyed this game. But for it to get all the way up there and continue that marketing push, and Root, Root is fairly complex, but it's got very cool art to it. So it's very interesting to see that. Or Everdell. I mean, Everdell is
Everdell, the special edition too.
Yeah,
special edition.
So, and then Betrayal at House on the Hill still continues.
Betrayal at House on the Hill is
up there.
I've had like a copy of that game for over 20 years now, I think.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that there's a couple things to take away from these lists. Like we've talked about this before when we introduced them. We've kind of reemphasized that, like, this isn't an objective scientific assessment of what games are best or what games are most successful. Even it is a very squishy and not very transparent a list, but it is still a useful list. Just don't base all of your decisions on it. But like, I think a couple things to remember is, like, how it's put together. It's a little bit unclear. It's a lot of conversations, a lot of interviews. There is some sales data in there as well, they've said, but they don't go into a ton of detail about how they make the list. But the other thing I think that a lot of us forget is how regional the gaming market really is.
Yeah.
Because of how relatively small it is. Like, I know I've talked to different stores, like even the Mox stores in the Seattle area. The games that will sell on one side of the city are not always the games that will sell on the other side of the city. You have, like, the same reason, or the same way that in this list here, you have games that show up every quarter because they're just the pillars and they're the machines, the fuel to keep the store going. Those will happen. But like some of the niche games, some of the slightly smaller games, those can have huge sales, especially for like games that you can keep buying a bunch of stuff for, like miniatures games, or expandable games or collectible games, things like that. Those can have huge sales in one area if there happens to be a strong community for that game in that area. And if there isn't, then there just aren't sales for that. Even a group of, say, 20 people, can really drive a trend in one like metro region. Or if we happen to be in a metro region where that just doesn't have that community, then that game looks like it's not popular, even if in a lot of the rest of the country it might be.
Yeah, and orders of magnitude here too. If you look at least when I was selling Catan is on this list of top 10 or whatever, but would do 10 times as many sales. So between the top 10 of those games, it's not they're all selling millions of copies. At the top it's 10 million copies, and at the bottom it's maybe 500,000 copies. Yeah, because the tail is just so long for board game sales.
I think that's part of why their RPG lists and the miniatures lists are so short. Because I think even more than board games, the curve just kind of plummets off before leveling out. And speaking of miniatures games, in the kind of the miniatures list, shocker, it is Games Workshop in the top 2 spots with 40K and Age of Sigmar, and then 2 of the other 5 spots are D&D minis that are just licensed from Wizards that are just used for the minis game. So the kind of one remaining floating spot basically cycles a little bit, and it's nice to see some variety there. Right now, Star Wars Legion has it, but in the past it's been other Star Wars games. What's that?
Who makes Star Wars Legion?
Fantasy Flight.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep, and so they've had X-Wing, Star Wars Armada, and Star Wars Legion in there. That used to also be dominated by Privateer. So there's a little bit of rotation there, but the top spots for RPGs and for miniatures is pretty much cemented among the big companies.
So what about this last one on the list? It's confusing to me. The Pathfinder cuts.
Yeah, so that is that's just like the D&D minis. It's also made by WizKids, and it's basically just minis for Pathfinder, basically. So both the D&D Nulzers, Marvelous Miniatures, and the Pathfinder Deep Cuts, I think they're both made by WizKids.
So also not a game.
Correct. Yeah, they're both accessories for an RPG, basically.
So they probably need to change a little bit of their standards to like at least take out some of those type of games, so other games that might not have gotten much attention can perceive it. But hint hint, maybe if somebody from there is watching that, maybe you guys can take some Gen Con advice. I don't know.
I'm sure no one's ever told them that before.
Well, as I said, you can go ahead and look and peruse through the games themselves. There are links provided there if you want to go ahead and see. You don't necessarily have to buy these games, but it could point you in the right direction of a game that you are looking for. And that's good. You got to follow where the spice flows, right, Derek?
Oh, I see what you
did.
You
do. The sleeper has awakened.
Bonsai, that was an excellent segue.
On point.
Thank you.
So we have another new game announcement that I'm excited for because it's Dune related. And then I found out that this is a Gale Force 9 deck building game based around Dune that's being designed by the people behind Clank. So now I can get doubly excited.
Right, now it's going to be a fast-paced game based on a slow-paced book.
Hey. It's only slow if you're not thinking about it.
Hey, man,
that's great.
I'm not knocking the pace of the book. I think it's beautiful. It's one of my favorites. It's actually 3 of my favorites.
So we don't have a whole lot of details yet. They did mention that there's a worker placement element with it in addition to the deck building, which is great because I love deck building as a mechanic, but I think the deck builders that I enjoy the most do have some other element to increase kind of player interaction. And with an IP like Dune, if there isn't really hardcore player interaction and the ability to really just twist that knife into your other opponent's backs,
you got to be
I'll
able
be
to
deeply disappointed. Because that
like
is absolutely what I'm for.
The most cutthroat board card game ever. I'm not going to give it a lot.
So I'm excited about it. We'll see what happens. But it's also worth noting that this is going to be one of the first new licensed games for Dune in like 40 years or something like that.
40 years.
The Dune board game that just got re-released recently is a re-release of the old classic one.
Yeah.
So there was a Dune card game.
And the RPG too was an old one, wasn't it?
Though the RPG was early 2000s somewhere, I think, was the most recent one. There was a TCG right around that era too that almost caught on among my friends and didn't quite. There hasn't been a lot since then, but now Modifius has the new RPG. So it seems like now that Dune's going to be a movie again, the people who own the rights are like, okay, fine, we can license it.
We can make it go.
Yeah. Isn't it going to be a movie? Is it still going to be
a TV series?
It's going to be the movie.
Oh, sorry.
It's going to be the movie.
Right.
But
we've been hearing about this for a long. Is it still like?
Yeah, well, so remember that like the trailer was supposed to come out right in the middle of the pandemic. So I think with a lot, just like a lot of movies, they've been like, okay, let's stop talking about release dates and just start generally discussing how much fun it was to work on it.
December 21st, right now. December 21st.
December 21st. Christmas movie.
Yes.
But no one's going to go to theaters.
Back the date yet.
We'll see. I mean, I'm still excited.
I'm just saying they haven't
yet. Yep. Because I think the big reveal was they were going to put the trailer in front of Tenet, and then Tenet kind of got up in the air.
Yeah.
Apparently, some people have seen the trailer and are super jazzed by it, and the internet is full of leaks and rumors and all the usual kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Internet being internet.
I'm still waiting. I'm still jazzed. Still waiting.
It's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 2 movies. And then the TV series, which was going to be about the Sisterhood of the Bene Gesserit. I think there was some talk about production issues there, and I don't know what the current status of that is. We'll find out.
You said Sisterhood and made me think of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and now
I was thinking Whoopi Goldberg. Sisterhood.
Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, and then
All
Sister Act, right? How are we going to combine those to make the main? Yeah.
Well. You know what? I think talk about blasts from the past. I believe, Christian, you have the power.
Oh, I do. And my name is Adam. Okay, I'm Prince of Eternia. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, by the power of Grayskull, Fandom Inc. has unveiled Masters of the Universe role-playing game. What? There's no angel chorus to accompany that, but this absolutely deserves one. This RPG is going to be using the Cortex system, which I'm excited about because this is also the system that put the Firefly role-playing game out there, the Supernatural, the original Buffy, Battlestar Galactica, the original Demon Hunters game. So it's officially the Cortex system is the only role-playing game that my likeness has appeared in.
Wow.
Wow.
That's right. Oh. So I'm obviously very excited about that because it means that my character from that might be compatible with
Get those royalties.
That would be pretty cool. It's going to come with a digital companion tool set. It's probably going to go right on Roll20 because they've got all the stuff, set up to do that already. It's so cool. I'm finally getting my Masters of the Universe role-playing game that hasn't been hacked by a friend. Not that one was bad, but this one is, it's official. Mattel has licensed it out. That was something that was unheard of 20 years ago when everybody wanted this game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine it's because obviously they've got the new Masters of the Universe cartoon coming out on Netflix and a live action series coming down the road. So we may be seeing more of He-Man and his friends. And I think this is
I think Fandom is putting themselves in a really interesting position because last week I think we talked about the Dragon Prince license.
Yep.
And now they have He-Man, and so people may not be aware that Fandom is the company that's behind a lot of the wikis that are around a lot of these shows. If you search for He-Man wiki or something like that, Fandom's probably going to come up.
You're right.
Yeah. They're also the company behind D&D Beyond. So there's a really interesting kind of situation here where they're probably sitting on wikis for a lot of really popular IPs and having some insight as to how popular and a pretty granular level those are. And I'm really curious if and how they're going to leverage those wikis to help create or help connect people who buy the RPG with a wider resource of information than they could have fit in the game product itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you made that sound really super nefarious. This is a beautiful thing because they listened to the fans.
Yeah,
and now there's a Masters of the Universe game for, you know, all of those 45-year-old men that want to play that game.
Who want to play that game with their kids.
With their kids, right?
See?
I keep forgetting people my age have children.
Yes.
I'm so sad.
You can go find some out in the general world somewhere.
Don't do that.
I've got a team.
Don't. Please do not try finding random children to go play board games.
Cannot support.
All right. Well, speaking of the grim dark, the darkness that is within
Dark side.
Dark side,
Oh,
but not dark side. Oh. Last. No, why are you leaving the dark side? Anywho,
I'll never leave the dark side.
Okay, dark side. We have cookies. But speaking of grim dark, Derek, your favorite.
Grim
Dark Derek.
Oh my God, we gave him a nickname on my last day.
Oh, if only we had timed that better. So a lot of big news for Warhammer fans, Warhammer players. This is. I keep joking that this is where I feel like Emma, where I'm going to give you some details, and people who don't play Warhammer are going to be like, okay. Meanwhile, people who do are going to be like, yeah, that's super important. Like, that's amazing. I feel like every time we have a Magic headline and we're like, Emma, tell us, does this even matter?
And then I go into it and you're like, wait, I still don't understand. I'm like, well, you see, what happened was they combined this thing with this thing. And it's very important to this group of people. You're like,
Yep. So a couple of things have come out for Warhammer. There have been a couple facts about a couple updates. The real takeaway, if you're not like a diehard fan, in which case you probably already read this stuff, is that Games Workshop is updating things a little bit faster. And it seems like they're leaning into the kind of digital delivery of the rules through the app and stuff like that. So they're updating things faster. They're sharing their future plans for rules with a little more clarity. They've announced that Space Marines and Necrons will be getting their codices in October. So we have a little bit to wait for that, but they gave a preview, and just like a couple really important things that are part of that is that like heavy bolters now do 2 damage, which makes them useful, or all Space Marines now have 2 wounds, even if you're a Chaos Space Marine or whatever else. So they're much, much more durable now. And the more interesting thing here, to kind of the state of the game, is that everybody who uses those things is getting the benefit once the rules are released for anybody. So instead of historically where like, you might be playing Space Marines, Christian might be playing Space Marines, just to kind of role play and pull you into this. You might be playing Space Marines.
Because I was just watching all that stuff go right over my head.
Yep. Exactly. So I'm pulling you in. I'm giving you a hook to hold on to.
Can I be the Inquisitor?
Sure. So you can be the Inquisitor, and Emma's playing Necrons, and I'm playing Death Guard. So when Christian's book comes out, and he's got a shiny new book with new rules, his rules will apply to me, even though my book hasn't come out yet.
Oh, but that's not the way they usually do it. That's for sure.
It is. Yeah. So like this is kind of new ground, and it's really interesting. And I think a lot of people are excited to not have to wait forever for their own book to come out, for them to kind of play with the new toys. And it's definitely a very different approach than they've taken for rules very recently. And I suspect that it's partly because they're really trying to push the rules to be in the app and to be digital, so that they have a little more agility and flexibility in fixing things and disseminating that new information.
Yeah, I always thought that they did that, like release the codices so separately and spread apart like that, so you couldn't, play with your army until you had the new rules. So you would buy an army that the rules were out for also.
There's a little bit of that. There's definitely, I mean, I think for that, they usually just release a shiny new model. And then you're like, oh, that's cool. I've never considered playing Eldar before, so I'll go buy the Eldar now.
Eldar. Insert.
I really like your fill-in AI voice, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Just replace that with whatever got like
It makes me very happy.
See?
Insert emotion here.
Yeah, I mean, I've never considered playing Necrons before, but now they have really cool models. So like that's the kind of way that they usually push you. So
you really got to sell this up, though. You say that that they have one extra, the Space Marines, that they have one extra wound, but what they really have is twice as many.
100%,
2 times, 100% more.
100% growth. They are big boys now. Yep, yeah, they are big boys now.
Not one-hit wonders. You know,
and even more. My Death Guard with their disgustingly resilient trait, where they can ignore wounds because they have so many extra organs.
It's so dumb.
Is now so much more effective because on one wound it was like a, you survive or you don't. Now it's maybe you survive. You have to stretch it out longer.
Ugh. I hate that. I played that. The one game that I played was the Space Marines versus the Death Guards, and I was just learning the game. They're like, "Oh, also my people just don't die." I'm like, "What? That seems like you're cheating." It's like, no, they just have this thing where sometimes you hit them. It's like you roll a dice to see if they hit, and then roll a dice to see if there's armor, and roll a dice to see, I don't know, some other thing. And after 10 dice rolls, like first you're like, oh, I hit 30 of your Death Guards, and by the time you get down to it, it's like maybe one of them falls over.
Look, Emma, you're clearly being hyperbolic. It's not 10 rolls. It is at most 6. Come on.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Anyway, if you like to not die, Necrons come back from the dead instead of dying sometimes, so you can go play them.
All my guys do too, just because.
Yeah,
but that's not all, right, Derek?
Derek, what are you going to do about that?
Bonsai is right. That is not all that has been announced. Like if you're into the tabletop miniatures game, you're excited. But if you're kind of a more casual fan of Warhammer in general,
I like the aesthetic.
Well, now, did you know that Barnes & Noble will have several more exclusive board game tie-ins to the Warhammer universes?
Ooh.
Now you know. So they've announced Blitzball Season 2, which is kind of like a simplified board game version of Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl? Oh, yeah, I was going to say Blood.
Yep.
That sounds like it might be fun to play.
Yeah.
Unlike Blood Bowl.
Well, for people,
looks really fun to play.
For people who like a certain amount of pain, the Blood Bowl is there for them. But otherwise, you can try Blitz Bowl. There's also a new Space Marine adventure, which is like a series of kind of like dungeon crawly games. This one is Rise of the Orcs. So if you want to, face down a horde of orcs, there's a Crypt Hunters, which is an Age of Sigmar one where you're leading a team of Stormcast Eternals, which are kind of like the poster boys for Sigmar, through like an undead crypt tomb kind of thing. So if you like some of the models, you want like a couple models, or you want a more board game expression of some of these things, or you want something maybe to get to somebody who might just be getting into the hobby or someone who's younger. It seems like they're pushing a lot of these through Barnes & Noble to try to lure a whole new kind of demographic into their clutches. Just to make it as ominous as I can for you there, Christian.
It doesn't. That definitely doesn't.
So go to your local Barnes & Noble for all of your grim dark needs. So...
Remember when Barnes & Noble used to sell books?
Yeah.
So when we were allowed to leave the house, I used to like the best section of Barnes & Noble, after maybe like browsing the game and sci-fi section, was the long tables where they would just have the bargain books listed.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Yeah, because you would just go through and like I would find like, oh, here's a book on like world religions, or like here's a book of maps or whatever, and you would just kind of find neat little historical tidbits.
Yeah, I worked.
Now it's filled with knickknacks.
I worked in the Barnes & Noble for 5 years, and I own so many books that are just like those Barnes & Noble table books. Just because I'd like need something to read and grab one on the way home. It was great.
Yeah.
Or the Barnes & Noble put out the collected Bible paper version of the Anne Rice novels. Like,
what?
Thank you for giving me the special editions I've always wanted.
Yes, now I can roll tobacco in them. Those stories are good for.
All good. Speaking about figurines that are coming out, there's a critical new line coming out, right, Christian?
Oh no, that's what I hear. Apparently, there is a show on the internet where voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons with each other. Have you heard of the show?
No, I don't know. I don't
It
know.
is called Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I'm reading that wrong. It's called Critical Role. I personally have never heard of it, but Funko, which is going through so many problems right now with having to lay off 25% of their staff, know that they will definitely make money when they put these out. So they put out a limited supply currently of all your favorite characters from the Critical Role. And it's available through the Critical Raleigh store. They're
All the Raleighs.
right. So if you are a fan of this show and also Funko Pops, now you can get them.
Mm-hmm. Or if you have friends who are, now is the time to snap up a gift for them for Christmas.
And we all actually we all know people who are who like this show, even if we don't like this show. And I'm not saying we don't, because I don't think about us in the third person like that.
The royal we.
The royal we, I'm sure, at least know somebody who loves this show very, very much, and like all of these characters, or maybe hate some of these characters and want to buy Funko Pops to throw them at things.
That's another use case.
It's another use things. I noticed that they're adorable, like all Funko Pops, and there's an actual limited edition one of a little armored bear that is maybe the cutest thing I've ever seen.
It's so cool.
Can confirm.
So most of them are not limited edition, like they'll be around for a little while.
They're going to be available in limited supply at first.
Mm-hmm.
But that bear is limited edition and is limited time. So if you like it, you need to go grab it.
So get that bear.
Get it.
Get that bear.
As they say on Critical Role, something, I guess.
Matt
Nailed
Mercer.
it.
Yeah. How do you want to buy this?
Man. Well, speaking from physical, let's get to digital. Magic has some very exciting digital news, Emma.
So Magic has just released on Arena its first exclusive set. So this is a very fascinating product for those of us embroiled in the Magic the Gathering Arena world. So this is Amonkhet remastered. Obviously, if you love Magic, you'll recognize the term Amonkhet and say that's not new. Amonkhet has been around for many years. Amonkhet and Hours of Devastation were actually two of the sets that I first started playing when I got back into Magic. Came out right after Kaladesh, which I was very much in love with. So this set is coming to Arena. It's actually coming back to Arena. Back when Arena was in beta, Amonkhet was one of the sets that was available there, but they did such an overhaul on the back end of the system that they weren't able to save Amonkhet, so it went away for a long time. This is the first time those cards are going to be available on Arena. Not all of them, though. That's what is making this set kind of different and exclusive. Some of the cards, including Gideon, Marshall Paragon, and Lilian Deathwielder, are not included, even though they are in Amonkhet. They're not coming back. And some additional cards, including Wrath of God and Rest in Peace, are being kind of squished into this set. There isn't a ton of transparency about the specific reasons they have for including some cards, including some extra cards, and excluding some cards that were in the set. Some speculation says that some of these cards do exist in cards that are already on Arena, so they don't want to double up and kind of confuse people as to which versions. Of course, because this is an older set, it's not going to be in standard on Arena. It's only playable in historic and the limited formats, but it's definitely going to be very interesting for historic, which is continuing to build up a card pool. But yeah, and that's a very exciting thing for people who have loved Amonkhet to see those cards coming back to Arena. I know a lot of people who are thinking about getting into historic now because they love those cards, and now they'll be able to play them. My husband Phil with Approach of the Second Sun is one of his favorite cards ever, so he's very excited about this. I'm excited about the fact that it's in limited. So I actually did a little bit this morning of just doing a premiere draft with Amonkhet, and it was very fun and exciting to see those cards again. And even if you're not ready for historic, it is fun just to be able to crack some packs, to do a sealed, or to do a draft with those. It's a very different draft environment. So lots of exciting things happening in Arena just over the last couple of days.
And those got released yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was only announced like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty short timeline. It's interesting. You're saying some things of Warhammer pushing their announcements out a little bit, other things pulling them back. I think they're not putting a huge timeline because there's been so many shakeups now. They want to make absolutely sure that it will come out when it is meant to. So instead of teasing it for months and months, the shorter life cycle of these things. And Corset 2021 just came out, so not to kind of trample on that set. Only came out a few weeks ago. What is time? But yeah, this announcement was pretty close to the actual release. Hey, these things are coming, and now here's all the spoilers, and here they are. So it's kind of nice to just have things come out and not to have to think about it and worry about it for too long.
Yeah, I wonder how much the nostalgia of people who were playing Arena during the beta will kind of drive people hopping back in.
Yeah.
Because you're like your first sets and stuff like that, your first army, your first, like a lot of times that you first really get into a game community, you get a real emotional attachment to the stuff you were playing with at that time.
Nostalgia is a very, very powerful sales tool.
And the fact that it's in Arena, I would rarely go back. Like, I haven't really revisited Amonkhet or Kaladesh in paper as much, but I do have that nostalgia. Those were the ones that I came into physical Magic for the second time. So seeing Amonkhet and seeing those cards again, it does have that nostalgic hit. It's like, I remember how good these cards were, and the cartouches, and the trials, and all the different gods, and the monuments.
The art is gorgeous.
Yeah. The art, the universe, the style. So it's in there now. You can hop in there and play and check it out, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes, so go. It's online. It's open 24/7 online. But yes, oh my goodness, that was our headlines for today, folks. But don't worry, we still got more here to come. I'm actually going to do something a little different for this, so let me go ahead so I don't peek the mic. In this corner, we have Christian with Bundle Ball.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty good.
Michael Buffer is going to sue you so hard.
I never know which way to go.
Okay.
Wait.
So bundles. That's where we are? Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I assume I caught most of that. I did. So this week's bundle of holding has Cthulhu Invictus. What is Cthulhu Invictus, you ask? Well, it's Call of Cthulhu, one of your favorite games already, but played in ancient Rome, one of your favorite time periods. What more could you ask for? Honestly, not much. If you want to do some Call of Cthulhu adventures set deep in the past with all of the intrigue of the church to go against your horrible monsters from beyond, this is your chance to do that. It comes basically with everything you're gonna need for this setting, with the exception of the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition book. Right? So all you need is if you have Call of Cthulhu and you get this, for $8, you're going to get the core and the expansion, a bunch of adventures, promos that they only offered during the Kickstarter campaign when it came out. And then you do with the bonus collection, you're going to get a whole bunch more pre-generated scenarios and characters that you can use in your adventures in ancient Rome. And the proceeds from this go to benefit Direct Relief, which, of course, is helping people around the country with the current pandemic.
I think a lot of the projects lately on Bundle of Holding have been going to Direct Relief.
Yeah, they haven't been going to Direct Relief. They've been going to other equally good causes that are also in tune with things going on in today's world. Yep. So I've really liked the charities the last few months that they've been going for.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't love the Jedi Museum and all that other stuff, but this feels like it's actually helping people who really need help.
Yeah.
Not just a toy museum, which is great also for very different reasons.
Yeah,
priorities.
Go there right now because what with the not leaving the house because super flu.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you, Christian, for that.
You're so welcome. That felt really good.
Well, now also to hopefully not peak my mic, hear ye, it is time for Queen Derek with the Kickstarter Queen. All hail!
Hail Lord Grimderek.
Grim Derek.
I love the little scepter that you have there.
Grimdarek.
Yep. So we have our Kickstarters for the week, so that we will go through in relative short order. Bonsai, I believe that you have the first project you would like to share with 3 days left.
With 3 days left, Monday, August 17th, giant metal D20 dice. Not much you have to. Yes.
It's like almost golf ball sized.
Yeah,
It's
almost
so
golf ball size.
shiny.
It's very shiny. And of course, guess what is my favorite in that pack you saw right there?
Is it the sparkly one?
It sparkly, but the all orange, all hollow weave color combo is me. Who would have guessed?
I would.
Ooh.
No one.
Mwah. Oh, so pretty.
Yes, and for this
Love it.
big, large, giant dice, it's an easy $20 cost just to get it, which
Nice.
is
And these
like
look
not.
like really hurt someone with them.
Yes,
Oh.
it is. That's the first thing I thought. It was like, this is my Kickstarter because
You
you
put this
can
in a
totally.
slingshot and you've got a dead pointy in every direction. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't ask
There's
better than that.
there's definitely a level of when I'm adding Kickstarters for the week. I am like, okay, I know who's going to go for this one. I have in my mind, I can see the person introducing this one. It was definitely like giant metal object to beat someone with. Bonsai is all in.
I mean, you put it in a catapult, who knows? Might need to prepare for a zombie apocalypse. How things are going. Get
But
your metal
mostly
dice.
catapult, and they're weaponizable that way for sure.
Yeah, pretty sure. So, if you
Pack
like
of
on
flour, catapult, and kill somebody with it.
honestly, it's just nice. It's a nice dice. And if you like D20s and want like a big honking chunk of metal, that's for you.
Chonky.
Yes, and yes.
Yes.
Chonky. Also, or with the next item up for grab, with 4 days left, Tuesday, August 18th, D&D Dice Tower and other dungeons and dungeon accessories. So this one I was kind of really drawn to because it is a nice, like really nice atmospheric, or like if you want to go ahead and make your game level go up a bit, but you also don't want to necessarily spend a lot of money on getting dice towers, dice boxes, and such. This is the packet for you. The dice tower is very nicely designed to compartmentalize into itself. It comes also with a dice box, a coaster that also doubles as a dice box, and notepads. All of these are laser cut plywood. We got a little bit of okay, but
Yeah, he's working on it. We can keep going.
Okay, so these are just really nice looking, and also I would say for if you have like a child or a spouse that wants to get into gaming and also is just starting to get in gaming and they want to go ahead and have the nice shiny bits, this is a pretty reasonably priced set. You can get everything for about $100. So it's reasonably priced, looks good, looks clean. A lot of times I have problems with some laser cut dice things because they just don't do a clean job. If you're going to use the laser cutter, do a clean job. Sorry. And I have issues with that, but this is a nice, clean, slick looking piece of work. And I just recommend it. It's a good price for the amount you're getting.
I also just like the way it looks. Like the dice tower kind of has like this almost like jagged metally kind of thing or vibe to it. It almost feels like it's a dice tower that could have come out of like Event Horizon or Hellraiser or something like that, but nice and wood and wholesome.
Yeah, it's just nice. So that is with 4 days left, Tuesday, August 18th.
So speaking of dice, Emma, with 6 days left, what have you got?
Ending Thursday, August 20th, Geocentric Light / Metallic RPG dice. They have colored glitter chips glued to the surface of them, a bunch of different surface treatments. Again, this is another one. Just click on the link. Just look at the pictures. I, as a dice lover, can never get enough of just looking at shiny, sparkly dice. And yeah, I watch the videos.
The numbers are nice and big.
They have in there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Big numbers on there, similar to the other metal dice, but these ones just more colors, more choices. It's all about finding that perfect dice that really speaks to you. And I think having a couple different options for awesome, gorgeous metal dice is great. The big ones are great. Honestly, if you're going to roll them, I'm not a huge fan. I buy the big, chunky metal ones just to have them on my windowsill where all my dice are. But as far as rolling them goes, I feel a little more comfortable rolling the small ones. So it's good to have a nice variety of dice.
I like how you basically have a dice preserve. You rescue these dice from the wild. You bring them to like a preservation. You put them there so they'll always be safe.
Basically. I'm like my beautiful blue sandstone dice. I'm not going to roll that thing. I'm so scared for it. It just sits there and looks pretty.
And meanwhile, I'm the person who bought the Jade L5R dice. And I'm like, I am rolling these, and like they slowly chip over time, but you know what? That's going to give them character.
Yeah.
No, I've got a couple of sets of pretty expensive stone type dice, and I play with them. I probably shouldn't, but I love them.
Oh, you should. Like, Emma is apparently the person who will buy the action figure, mint in box, leave it on the shelf as it slowly weeps in the Toy Story movie where it never gets played with.
I'm against it.
No, yep. I pay attention. I pick them up. Sometimes I show them to people. I let it sit in the dice tray so it can think about what it would be like to be rolled.
So you let it get
like an animal in the zoo.
Yeah, you gotta let it get close to having fun, but then you pull it back every time.
Like, oh yes, I'm in my natural environment, a dice tray. I'll probably get used all the. Hey, wait a minute.
You make.
Why are all the lights
bad.
off?
Yeah, it's a dice zoo.
Not dice zoo.
Speaking of dark and grim, with 6 days left, the project that I'm very excited about this week and probably overly obsessed with is the end of the Vampire the Masquerade Rivals card game. So we talked about it a bit before. They had a bunch of gameplay and panels during Gen Con Online. I'm still, the more I look at it, the more excited I get, which is a shocker, I'm sure.
I really want
See?
I do.
So
I really do.
In case you haven't been following, this is an expandable card game, which is basically like an LCG from Fantasy Flight. It's a different brand terminology. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it plays like a collectible card game, but you buy it without randomization. So you're a little more, you're able to predict what you're going to get. The fun is in the playing and less in the buying and acquiring, basically. And this is not a revamp of the old Vampire the Eternal Struggle game from back in the 90s. That has its own other re-release that I'm hoping someday we'll have news to share about. But this is definitely inspired by that. Like, it's a up to 4-player game. You have this agenda you're trying to do. You kind of assemble a coterie of vampires. You build your deck around them. The city that you're set in, this one in particular is set in San Francisco. But there's a hint that they'll be able to take it other places as well. So you're trying to accomplish your agenda, but there's a challenge in the area that all the players have to kind of unite against, or you all lose. But you can also win by taking out your rival. So there's a very interesting kind of interplay of trying to watch who is attacking who, because you want other players to be weak, but you don't want another player to take out another player before you have a chance to. So it's one of those things where high level, everything seems to be set up for a good vampire game. The production looks good. It's from Renegade, who has a long history of making great stuff. So I am super jazzed and really can't wait, basically, is what it boils down to. The only drawback here is that my favorite clans are not in the game yet, but they have already said that they have I think there's a backer survey going out soon. That will be asking people for what clans they want to see in the future.
Let me guess. Hold on. Tremere and Nosferatu?
Close. I do love all clans, but the Lasombra, are my favorite.
Oh, that's because they're the best.
The Tremere are real close as well, but Lasombra are my favorite.
Yeah, Lasombra are my favorite too, followed closely by Ravnos. The X clan, whatever.
Yep. The clan formerly known as clan.
Yeah, they got pretty decimated in canon, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still interesting stuff to play around with there. You know, what can I say? I'm a vampire fan. When that whole Ravnos thing first went down, we were all like, "What?" And then, you know, you go through the stages of guilt, and you kind of reach a point where you're really excited about it. The next project with 7 days left is Quest plus Avalon Deluxe, basically. And if you've played Avalon, this is basically kind of like a big box version of Avalon that has this game called Quest in it, which is not the RPG name Quest. It seems to be a version of Avalon that's a little more focused and a little faster. So normal Avalon, you know, you have a leader who picks who goes on a team, and you kind of discuss things, and maybe you do some voting and stuff like that. It does away with a lot of the voting element, and you just kind of get to the execution of it a little bit faster. It's a little more structured, basically, but it does include all of the components that you need to play Avalon as well, with this really gorgeous
I like the colors.
Yeah, like the color and the lighting and the art style is fantastic for this. And there's a backer level that gets you a version of Coup, which is absolutely one of my favorite games ever. With Brazilian art, which is also absolutely gorgeous and fantastic. Again, really, really remarkable colors, very different from most other kind of card games we've seen out there. So a really interesting project because it takes a classic game of deduction that people really like, gives it kind of a new skin, both in terms of rules and art. And then you can get another classic deduction game with fantastic international art.
Nice.
So it's got 7 days left.
Cool.
With 7 days left, Emma, tell us about what I'm sure is going to be the cutest Kickstarter of the week.
I guess so. Does it have any animals? Does it have faces? Ending Friday, August 21st, we have The Fuzzies, a gravity-defying game from the creators of Wavelength, The Mind, and Monikers, all very cool games. So this is a tower of fuzzy balls that you remove and stack like Jenga. It's a little different because you can kind of stick them to the side. It's not as linear and grid-based as Jenga. And this is one thing that I really appreciate about this game. I love that it's organic shapes and materials. I'm a big fan of breaking the mold of cubes, grids, and squares. So anything that kind of gets out of this idea that it has to be squares, it has to be very rigidly formed, I like. I'm a little bit concerned about the bits breaking down and it doesn't look super durable and losing the pieces. I would kind of like to play it at some point because it seems like the kind of game you really have to play to say, wow, this just physically does something that I've never experienced before. So it's not one I probably won't back it myself, even though it is super adorable. But I think for a certain demographic, it is absolutely going to be a go-to game. I think kids and families right now. And like I said, I really love how they're getting outside of a lot of standard board game materials. I appreciate that. So I think it's definitely worth a look if any of those things.
Yeah, it's real cute. I do worry about how they're going to roll off tables, and if they stick to each other, I wonder what else sticks to them.
Getting kind of dusty or cat hair.
Yeah.
Or cats would also run away with it. I could already if you have a cat, a ferret, a bird, you just gonna lose those.
Well, so my first thought was maybe they'll just start selling little packets of have all of your animals of your house stolen your pieces of fuzzies. Here's a replacement pack of 5 more balls.
5 more balls.
Yeah, it's real cute, real adorable, but it does really strike me as a thing where you're really going to get the magic of it once you can touch it. It looks like it's a very tactile game. I adore Jenga, and this, I can't wait to kind of play with this. And now it suddenly occurs to me, can you imagine? Because we have Dread that uses Jenga. Can you imagine?
Dread.
Can you imagine playing a shiny, happy version of Dread for like the Saturday morning cartoon version of Dread using the fuzzies instead?
Yeah.
I don't know. This isn't fuzzy. I don't know. But I mean, chat said, well, how do we get a large scale version of it to play with? like I want a big old version of it to play well at a bar.
Yeah.
Fuzzy trend, yes.
Like the giant Jenga games.
Yeah.
Yep. The ones where we have all the gifs of the blocks just slamming into people's faces.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right,
So
Christian.
good.
With 8 days left, you have the last Kickstarter of the week.
The last Kickstarter of the week is Axon Punk Expanded, the hip-hop infused cyberpunk tabletop RPG, ending Saturday, August 22nd. This game, if you take a look at the link, is very interesting. Like it pushes all of my buttons with it, and it has all the buzzwords in these things I like. Things like cyberpunk, things like hip hop, and of course, anything cyberpunk or hip hop related that they seem to have, put into this crazy world of 2085. One of the cool things about this, in addition to just having all of the normal classes and professions you would expect to find in a cyberpunk game, like your hackers and your street mercs, they've got a very interesting combat mechanic called the rhythm mechanic that I'm looking forward to trying out. If you want to try it out, you can actually try it out for free, even though this Kickstarter has 8 days left. You can try it for free on DriveThruRPG right now. So link it up, and if it's something that you like, you've still got a week to decide whether it's something that you want forever and want to back. One of the cool things about it is almost every cyberpunk themed game that you ever come across tends to put you in some giant mega city or just outside of some giant mega city. One of the cool things about this is the idea that the players themselves create that mega city together.
One of the big emphasis of the project seems to be like building communities, either just from players doing it or from characters doing it.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like this is like one of those games that kind of focuses on the punk resistance aspect of cyberpunk more than some other ones, which kind of makes that hip hop connection make sense, because like the aspect of hip hop kind of being like a resistance or like anger genre, like a way for common folks to kind of express frustration at a lot of the themes in cyberpunk kind of closing in on their communities, is one that a lot of games just don't cover. So it's always interesting to see one dip into that realm.
Well, where punk has always been about the resistance of things, hip hop takes that and has always been a voice of the people. Much more so than punk ever was. With punk, it was just really, really pissed off people who didn't like the government, and this is people who not only hate the way things are for them, but love the way that they, love the place that they live in and the people that they live with at the same time. It's like that sense of community is always there with hip hop, I think, even in like the dirtiest gangster stuff. There's a sense of community in it, and adding that to a cyberpunk setting is such a cool idea, especially since I'm so used to just everything in cyberpunk genre being EDM. It makes me so happy. This has got just a huge group of people that collaborated on it. Everything from obviously the writers and the game designers to hip hop artists that collaborated with them to help create this world. I mean, what a good idea for a game. I don't love the way that the Kickstarter is set up, but the fact that it's a game that's been out, that they're still adding things to and still perfecting and putting out new additions to the people is just, it's fun for me, and it looks like it's worth backing. So check it out.
Do it. And friends, folks, that has been TableTakes. But don't go anywhere, because we still have a whole bunch of other shows. We're not just TableTakes here. We're also a slew of other things. Going over everything. Mondays we got 6 p.m. with Board Games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. This is Pacific Standard Time, by the way. This game gets dicey. Fireside is going to take a little bit of a break until September 2nd, just to get those good, juicy behind-the-scenes stories. But don't forget, Friday, you got us, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, TableTakes. And, what's it called? Remember to follow, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know that we are on, that we are live. And if you miss us live here on on Twitch, you can follow us on the YouTubes. That's the thing. We have the YouTubes. Why don't you also leave some comics? Give some feedback of what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, all those kind of things. We love hearing that information. And also, don't forget there is the Gen Con survey out right now. So ways you can also improve Gen Con digital. Please don't forget to fill that out as well. I'd like to thank you guys for coming here, hanging out, being a follower, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. Derek, Emma, thank you so much. And I think we all need to go ahead and say thank you to Christian for being here.
Christian.
Oh yeah,
being here since the very beginning.
This has been my pleasure. I've loved every minute of this. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us out.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, if you need anything ever, I'm around.
Yes. And of course, you're not escaping us. We'll bring you back.
Oh, don't threaten me on Street Bonsai. It's not fair.
All right, folks. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. And if you're in Seattle, stay cool because it's going to be in the 90s. Hey.
We're setting up a sprinkler.
Nice. I miss the 90s.
Bye, folks.
Bye.